What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best NBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, don't forget to like this video, as it does let me know to continue to give you free picks every day. So make sure to like this video, clicking that button down below. And if we get 600 likes, I will do another video for tomorrow. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group. And as you guys see, we actually got 21 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now, a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 21 right, which is a 95% win rate. Yes, guys, you heard that right. 95% win rate. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 95% win rate and get 21 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $1,027 just yesterday. Another member who won $2,000 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, a link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group. And I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to 1023 Vic who commented LFG. And also shouts out to Atleans2026 who also commented let's eat. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is Donte DiVincenzo, and this one is for 25 points, rebounds, and assists. And this one actually is for more. Now, looking at Donte DiVincenzo, we have seen him go on the over in 2 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, we see on January 5th, faced off against the Washington Wizards, actually had 12 PRA there, or points, rebounds, and assists. We saw on January 7th, faced off against Miami Heat, had a 19 PRA in that matchup, then had 27 points, rebounds, and assists against Cleveland Cavaliers on January 9th. Then January 11th, faced off against Cleveland Cavaliers again off a back-to-back, had a 24 points, rebounds, and assists there. Then on January 12th against San Antonio Spurs, had 35 points, rebounds, and assists there. So we have seen Donte DiVincenzo, as I mentioned, go on the over in actually, 2 out of the last 5 games. But this one is an interesting one because not only that, but we've also seen that his average over the last 5 is 23.4. So it is slightly below this line, but coming into this matchup, we do know that Donte DiVincenzo and the Minnesota Timberwolves have themselves a very good matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams. Now, looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off first off with actually, Minnesota. We do see Minnesota Timberwolves have been able to really start putting together some great wins because they currently come in at the 4th spot in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 26 wins and 14 losses. So they've actually done a fantastic job there. They have a 65% win percentage in that matchup. Also are 15-6 from home, 11-8 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So very interesting to see there. Now looking at someone like Minnesota, or a team like Minnesota, they've definitely been on a little bit of a hot streak as of lately, as earlier on in the season they were ranked around 7th or 8th. So they do have the momentum on their side, but they face off against a Milwaukee Bucks team that are still trying to find their way, because Milwaukee Bucks come in at the 11th spot in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 17 wins and 22 losses. So it's a 43.6% win percentage there. They're also 9-9 from home, 8-13 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very interesting to see from them. Looking at someone, or looking at a player like Donte DiVincenzo facing off against Milwaukee, we do also see when it comes to Milwaukee Bucks, defensively they do rank, starting off with points allowed, they do rank 14th, so they rank pretty mid-tier there, actually averaging and allowing 115.1 points per game. Then we look at assists allowed and see that the Bucks also rank very mid-tier, ranking 16th, and allow 26.7 assists per game. Then rebounds allowed, we also find the Bucks in a similar situation as they rank 16th, allowing 44.4, rebounds per game. So it is very evident that when we look at Bucks, they do struggle at restricting points, at restricting rebounds, and restricting assists. And that's a big reason why we do very much like the over for this situation here. Donte DiVincenzo, although he isn't the star player for this team, his usage rate does remain very high for this Timberwolves matchup. And on top of that, we also do know when it comes to the matchup for Timberwolves, we do also see that Milwaukee Bucks do a really poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the guard position. So for that reason, we do very much like the over for someone like Donte DiVincenzo here. We definitely see him going on the over due to the fact that he has done a fantastic job, especially against much easier teams. And, we also do know that when it comes to Donte, his usage rate definitely should be very consistent. Now, looking at what the pros do have to say. So obviously we actually see points, rebounds, and assists here. They have him for 25.5. So it is a different line. Obviously it's 0.5 more, but we do actually see that the bookies still have us favored for the over. So we are actually agreeing with the bookies here, even though this is a much higher line. So that even just gives us more confidence on this pick. We definitely see someone like Donte DiVincenzo going on the over there. Now, we are disagreeing, however, with the projection, because the projection they do have is 21.7 when it comes to points, rebounds, and assists. So a little bit of a different line there. Obviously we are going a little bit against the projection, but we also do see over the last 15 games, he's only gone on the over in 33% of those matchups. So he's only gone on the over there, but coming into this one, we also do see that when it comes to Donte DiVincenzo, we definitely see him going on the over due to the fact that, as I've always mentioned, matchups, that's what's most important. And with a matchup like this against a Milwaukee Bucks team who do allow a lot of points, rebounds, and assists, we definitely see him going on the over here. So Donte DiVincenzo, 25 points, rebounds, and assists for more, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so getting into the next pick, we're going to be talking about none other than Zaccharie Risacher. Now, this one's a fantastic one for points and rebounds for 14.5, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Zaccharie, we have seen him go in the under in 1 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on January 1st, faced off against Minnesota Timberwolves, had 13 points and rebounds there. Then January 3rd, faced off against the New York Knicks, had 17 points and rebounds. January 4th, faced off against Toronto Raptors, had 15 points and rebounds. January 6th, faced off against Toronto Raptors, had 20 points and rebounds. And then January 8th, faced off against the New Orleans Pelicans and had 33 points and rebounds there. So we actually have seen, when it comes to Zaccharie, we have seen him go in the under, as I mentioned, in 1 out of the last 5. And his average over the last 5 is also 19.6. So he has had some pretty good games as of lately, but we will find, or are expecting, for Zaccharie to do a little bit worse in this matchup, because Atlanta Hawks face off against the LA Lakers. Now, we have touched on this matchup before, but just to quickly remind you all again, they do face off against a top team, because first, starting off with Atlanta Hawks. Hawks come in at the 9th spot in the Eastern Conference. They recently traded Trae Young, so it has looked a little bit different for Hawks as of recent. And they actually have a record of 20 wins and 21 losses. So that's a 48.8% win percentage there. On top of that, they are 7-11 from home, 13-10 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So very interesting to see there. Now they face off against none other than the LA Lakers, where we do see that the LA Lakers do come in at the 5th spot in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 23 wins and 14 losses. So that's a 62.2% win percentage there. They're also 10-7 from home, 13-7 from away, and are currently on a 3-game losing streak. So very interesting to see. Now, looking at a player like Zaccharie, he does face off against an LA Lakers team that not only rank very well, but we also do see that the LA Lakers do also rank, when it comes to points allowed, they do rank 17th. So they do allow 116.5 points per game, and they face off against them, in this tough matchup. But also looking off at rebounds, we see that the LA Lakers do rank somewhat a little bit better, as they rank 3rd, and they only allow 40.5 rebounds per game. Now, although, obviously Lakers do rank a little bit better in rebounds than they do to points, a big reason why we do like the under for this situation situation here is that when we look at the LA Lakers, we do actually see that they do a fantastic job at restricting points and rebounds to the forward position. So for that reason, we are definitely expecting the under for this one. When we look at Zaccharie over the last 5 games, yes, he has been able to go on the over, in some of those matchups. We do also have to realize that he has gone on the, over against much easier teams. Now that he does face off against a Lakers team that do rank very well, at restricting his position, we should see a very different story here. Now, looking at actually what the pros do have to say about it. So obviously we have him for 14.5 for points and rebounds. Now they also have him for 14.5 on the pros, and the great thing about this is that we do see that the bookies have him favored for the under as well. So we are going with what the bookies are saying there, which I think is fantastic to see. So when we look at the projection, however, it is a little bit different because the projection that they do have is for the over. So we are going a little bit against that, but we are agreeing with the bookies, however. And then looking at the last 15, yes, he has gone on the under, in only 40% of those matchups. But as I mentioned, he has faced off against much easier teams. We were expecting him to be able to take advantage of it, and that's definitely what happened in the most recent games. But coming into this next one, we should definitely see him go on the under here, especially due to the fact that when we look at Zaccharie, I do believe that matchup, especially, some of these matchups, especially against New Orleans, Toronto, these sort of games, and if you even look further, Chicago Bulls as well, these games I do believe has overinflated this line, and it has brought it a little bit too far from reality. So for that reason, although Trae Young did get traded, Zacharie's sort of usage rate has remained somewhat consistent when it comes to that. We haven't really seen a change in usage rate due to the fact that they are a different position, but Zaccharie didn't really see an increase in his usage rate. It has remained very consistent. So for that reason, coming into this matchup, we still do very much like the under for it. So for that reason, with all those things being said, this overinflated line, we still do very much like the under for it. So Zaccharie Risacher, 14.5 points and rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next pick, we're going to be talking about Marcus Smart. So Marcus Smart, great player, and this one is for 20.5 PRA, points, rebounds, and assists, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Marcus Smart, we actually have seen him go on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on January 5th, faced off against Memphis Grizzlies, had 11 points, rebounds, and assists there. Then January 7th, faced off against New Orleans Pelicans, had 23 points, rebounds, and assists in that matchup. January 8th, faced off against the San Antonio Spurs, had 10 points, rebounds, and assists. Then January 10th, faced off against the Milwaukee Bucks and had a 14 PRA there. Then a 5 PRA against Sacramento Kings on January 13th. So pretty interesting to see. Obviously, looking at that, we have actually seen when it comes to Marcus Smart, we have actually seen him go on the under in, 4 out of the last 5, but his average over the last 5 is also 12.6. So it is significantly on the under here. Now, looking at this matchup, we do know that Marcus Smart and the LA Lakers find themselves in a very good matchup against the Atlanta Hawks. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting matchup there. Looking at where both of these teams do lie, starting off with the LA Lakers. LA Lakers have definitely, done a really, really good job surprising a lot of people because they come in at the 5th spot in the Western Conference and they have a record of 23 wins and 14 losses. So it's a 62.2% win percentage there. They're also 10-7 from home, 13-7 from away, and are currently on a 3-game losing streak. So very interesting to see there, but looking at someone like Marcus Smart and the LA Lakers, they face off against an Atlanta Hawks team that recently have traded Trae Young, but Atlanta Hawks come in at the 9th spot in the Eastern Conference. Now they have a record of 20 wins and 21 losses. That actually puts them at a 48.8% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 7-11 from home, 13-10 from away, and are currently on a 1-game win streak. So very, very interesting to see there. Now, obviously, looking at someone like Marcus Smart coming into this game, they face off against a Hawks team that do rank defensively, starting off with points allowed. Hawks do actually rank pretty low. They rank 23rd, allowing 118.4 points per game. When we look at assists allowed, we also do see that the Hawks rank in somewhat of a similar position as they rank 25th, allowing 27 0.7 assists per game. And then rebounds allowed, we also do find that the Hawks rank somewhat low as well, as a rank 26, allowing 46.1 rebounds per game. So we actually have seen, although Atlanta Hawks do rank very poorly, why do we like the under for this situation? And this is definitely due to the fact that when we look at, Marcus Smart, we do know that Atlanta Hawks actually do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to his position. Now, when we look further, we also do see when it comes to Marcus Smart and the LA Lakers, they face off against an Atlanta Hawks team as well, that we have seen that Marcus Smart's usage rate has been very, very low as of recent. And I do believe this is definitely due to things such as, change of game plan, change of, kind of usage rate out of Marcus Smart, and change of minutes. And it's definitely, unfortunately, had a huge effect on Marcus Smart and has led him to the under quite consistently. So for that reason, coming into this next one, we do very, very much like the under for this one. And for someone like Marcus Smart, we also do see, and as we've mentioned, he's definitely struggled even against easier matchups to go on the over. Now, Atlanta Hawks also do a great job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to his position as well. So it definitely does play to our favor there. But looking at, what the pros do have to say, so obviously they have him for a little bit of a different line here because they actually have him for 16.5. So if you look at this, we have him for actually 20.5, and the pros have him for 16.5 and still have him favored for the under. So guys, girls, I'm telling you right now, this is an absolute steal to get it at this rate. 16.5, and for them to have him favored for the under, I think is honestly insane. So coming into this next matchup, we do very, very much like the under for this one for someone like Marcus Smart. And when we also look at actually Marcus Smart coming into this game, we do also know when it comes to, Smart as well, that the projection that they do have for him is 16.6. Now, it is technically on the over, but, in this case, it is actually for the under. So for that reason, we do very, very much like the under for this one, and especially off the Kings winning and beating Lakers recently, we are expecting Marcus Smart to be able to bounce back. But, we should see Lakers as a whole actually bounce back rather than Marcus Smart himself. So we could see a much lower usage rate there. So the fact that, we are technically agreeing with the projection, even though it does say over, 16.6 is under our line. So we are definitely liking the under for this one. So for that reason, Marcus Smart, 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick. All right, so getting into the next pick, we're going to be talking about none other than Jalen Williams. So Jalen Williams has done a great job for Oklahoma City Thunder, and this one is for 23.5 points and rebounds. So this one's a combo one, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Jalen Williams, we have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, we do see January 5th faced off against the Phoenix Suns, actually had 27 points and rebounds there. Then January 6th faced off against Charlotte Hornets, had 18 points and rebounds, then had 23 points and rebounds against Utah Jazz on January 8th. January 10th faced off against Memphis Grizzlies, had a 31 points and rebounds there, 22 points and rebounds against Miami Heat on January 12th. So we have seen Jalen Williams, as I mentioned, go on the under more than he's gone on the over, and his average over the last 5 is also 24.2. So it is slightly above this line, but we do also know that Jalen Williams and Oklahoma City Thunder have themselves a very, very good matchup against the San Antonio Spurs. Now, I would say both of these teams are or have been quite a rivalry as of recent. San Antonio Spurs have given a lot of OKC's loss lately, but looking at this matchup and looking at where both these teams do lie, starting off with OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder come in at the number 1 spot in the Western Conference. They have a record of 33 wins, 7 losses. That's an 82.5% win percentage there. And on top of that, they are 19-2 from home, 14-4 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So very, very interesting to see there. Now they face off against the San Antonio Spurs, where the Spurs do come in at the actual 2nd spot in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 27 wins and 12 losses. So it's a 69.2% win percentage there, 13-5 from home, 13-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very, very interesting to see. Now looking at someone like Jalen Williams and also OKC facing off against Spurs, we do see see San Antonio Spurs do rank when it comes to points allowed. They do rank 7th. They're a great defensive team, and they do actually only allow 112.6 points per game. Now, when it comes to rebounds allowed, we do see, Spurs also rank very, very well, as they rank actually 9th, and they also allow 43 rebounds per game. So they don't really allow a lot there. So coming into this one, we do very much like the under for someone like Jalen Williams coming into this. But looking at someone like Jalen Williams, what we also do see when it comes to Jalen and also the matchup against Spurs, Spurs actually do a fantastic job at also restricting points and rebounds to Jalen Williams' position. So that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this one for someone like, Williams. Now, when we also look at Jalen over the last 5 games, he has struggled quite a lot. And this is definitely due to the fact that OKC have been switching up their sort of usage rate and switching up a lot of their actual, game plan when it comes to playing offense out there, and also maybe their rebounding strategies. Now, when we have looked at Jalen Williams in the past facing off against Spurs, he definitely does struggle quite a bit. So unfortunately, we are expecting Jalen to struggle once again coming into this one. Now, when we look at what the pros do have to say, however, now obviously this is for points and rebounds. Now, it is a little bit of a different line. They actually have him for only 22.5 here, while we actually have him for 23. So it is a little bit of a different line there. So it is kind of difficult to actually go off the bookies and actually analyze that because it is a different line. But looking at the projection, they actually have him projected for 23.5 exactly. So, we aren't really going with it, or we aren't really going against the projection, because our line is actually at 23.5. So because of that, it is kind of canceling that out. We can't really go off the projection as well. Now, looking at the last 15 games, however, obviously we have him for 23.5, and we have seen him go on the under in 60% of those games. So Jalen Williams, unfortunately, has struggled quite a bit when it comes to, scoring, rebounding, and the fact that they face off against a very, very tough San Antonio Spurs team. We should see the same. And just to show you that as well, we did see them face off against each other. Now, this was actually on the 24th of last year, or in December, and he actually had a 23 points and rebounds, so just missed it by 0.5. And next game after that, faced off against Spurs again and only had 14. So it's very, very obvious. Jalen Williams does struggle against Spurs, and unfortunately, we definitely see that happening once again coming into this matchup for someone like Jalen Williams. So definitely keep an eye out for the under for someone like J. Will here. So Jalen Williams, 23.5 points and rebounds for the under or for less, I think is a fantastic pick.
All right, so let's get straight into the next pick. And getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Toumani Camara. So Toumani, great player, as we all know, from none other than Portland Trailblazers. And this one is for 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists, or PRA. And this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Toumani, we actually have seen him go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on January 4th, faced off against the San Antonio Spurs, had 29 points, rebounds, and assists there. Then January 6th, faced off against Utah Jazz, had 22 points, rebounds, and assists. January 8th, faced off against the Houston Rockets, had a 23 PRA. Then January 10th, faced off against Houston, had a 29 points, rebounds, and assists. Then 19 PRA against New York Knicks on January 12th. So we have actually seen Toumani Camara go on the under, as I've mentioned, in 3 out of the last 5 games. But this one is an interesting one because we do also know that his average over the last 5 is 24.4. So we definitely have seen that when it comes to Camara, we have seen him actually go on the under more than he's gone on the over. And Portland Trailblazers do find themselves in a very good matchup against the Golden State Warriors. Now, looking at where both these teams do lie, they both are very, very close to each other because starting off with Portland Trailblazers come in at the 9th spot in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 19 wins and 21 losses. So that's a 47.5% win percentage there. They're also 10-10 from home, 9-11 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very interesting to see there. Now they do face off against the Golden State Warriors, who also rank 8th, and they actually have a record of 21 wins and 19 losses. So that's a 52.5% win percentage there. They're also 13-6 from home, 8-13 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So very, very interesting to see. Obviously, looking at someone or looking at a player like Toumani Camara, he does face off a Golden State Warriors team that do just rank one slot above. So they are very, very close. But looking at Golden State Warriors defensively, we do see that they rank 9th when it comes to points allowed, allowing 113.6 points per game. Then assists allowed, we do see that the Golden State Warriors find themselves at the 12th spot, actually allowing 26.3 assists per game. And then rebounds allowed, we see that the Golden State Warriors rank 15th, allowing 44.3 rebounds per game. So it is very evident to see that Golden State Warriors are a fantastic team when it comes to defending. They have been a great defensive team all season, and although they do find themselves in the 8th spot, their defense does remain very, very strong. Now, when we actually look at Warriors even more, we do see that they do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists as well to the forward position. So that mixed with Toumani having really struggled at getting on the over on this line, as he has gone on the under more consistently. This is definitely due to the fact that we have seen a little bit of a difference when it comes to Portland's game plan, and it has definitely led to Camara to having a little bit less usage rate out there. So coming into this matchup, we do very much like the under for this one, but looking at what the pros do have to say, obviously, we have him for a pretty good line at 24.5, but when we look at the pros, they do have him for 23.5. So unfortunately, is a little bit of a different line there, but looking at this matchup, we do see points, rebounds, and assists. They actually have him at a different line, so we can't really go off what the bookies are saying there. But when we look at the projection, it is a different story because they have him projected for 18.9. And that actually agrees with us because we have him for the under, and the projection, we are agreeing with it there. And since it is significantly on the under when it comes to the projection, it gives us a lot more confidence that we definitely could see him go on the under here. Now, when we look at actually Toumani over the last 15 games, we've seen him go on the under quite a lot. He's actually gone on the under in 75% of these games. So significantly on the under has gone, quite consistently in the last 15. And this is also against easier matchups. He's definitely struggled. Tough matchups, he's definitely struggled. And coming into this next one against Golden State Warriors, we should see a similar outcome. When we also look at a most recent game where they faced off against the Golden State Warriors, Toumani Camara only had a 13 PRA, so very, very low. So it's definitely very evident that Warriors are a great defensive team. Camara struggled last time, and we should see him struggle once again. So for that reason, we are definitely liking the under for this one for someone like Camara coming into this game. We see a lot of value there to go on the under, especially when it comes to, the way he has been playing so far. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for the under for this one. So Toumani Camara, 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists for less, I think is a fantastic pick.